All right. It is now 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, of course, it is Wednesday, 5/10, May 10th. And this is now time for Coin Metal. And, oddly enough, I'm actually slightly prepared today. I did select some music for our first dance. And I actually went ahead and picked out a few articles to cover today. And hopefully I'm actually outputting to you guys because, I don't have a whole lot of response from my peeps. Y'all gotta let me know what's going on and see how I sound. In any case, let's boot it on up. And, for our first dance, we're going to go ahead and throw down a little bit of Fear Factory here off of Digimortal. What will become? First dance, Coin Metal. And, of course, right off the bat, we're cheesing a little teeny tiny bit. But, we can only go so far with free software. And, this thing is fucking up on me now. And, Jesus Christ. One of these days, I'm going to get a better application for this. Fucking piece of shit. Oh, well. Gonna disconnect for the moment. Gonna reconnect. Hold on. Let's try this again. Can you hear me now? Alright, well, it looks like the program is working for the moment, so we're going to go ahead and throw down a little bit of Fear Factory as we'd intended originally. And so, now I got to find the song. Fucking piece of shit program, man. Don't use this program. We're going to just go ahead and do demanufacture because piece of shit program doesn't seem to remember shit. So, here we go. Demanufactured here on Coin Metal. And that was Fear Factory off of D-Manufacture. Whew. Well, my little cryptonauts. Those of you who were watching the IRC yesterday might have caught a brief conversation between myself and Verge Dev. And I can't believe I'd actually forgotten about this. Maybe I'm just that high. I don't know. Anyway, oh, and by the way, it was very, very productive Get Your Ass Kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Wednesday. That's probably what it is that little kid Robert, man, he gets a hold of you and you can just forget about it. But I managed to stay out of his deadly grasp this time only by the skin of my teeth. I mean, the kid is like 60 pounds lighter than me, but it doesn't matter. He's nothing but wire. Anyway, so yesterday I was kind of despondent because I'd been pumping the show up on this show. You know, I'd been talking about how Sepultura and Testament and Prong were going to be coming up to the Roseland Theater here in Portland. But I wasn't able to go. I didn't have enough money to afford a ticket. And so yesterday, I think it was Ritual, came into the IRC chat room, and he had a quandary. He was trying to figure out whether or not he wanted to go see go do a little bit of security work for Lamb of God, or if he wanted to go and see Metallica. Now, this is a serious quandary, especially for any real metal fan. I mean, on one hand, you've got Metallica, and I have a myriad of feelings concerning Metallica. Not all of them good, not all of them bad, but a myriad, okay? You know, for one thing, they were one of the very first real, like, speed/thrash bands that I got into. And as a matter of fact, I was into Metallica before there was a Metallica fan base. I mean, the only people that listened to Metallica back then were like in San Francisco and like Japan. I don't know. They had a relatively limited fan base when I started listening to them. And I knew right away with Kill 'Em All that they were going to be huge. And they were already kind of big for that standard. I mean, they were, by the time they had done Kill 'Em All, I think they were, I wouldn't put them up there with Motley Crue. No. They were still doing the club scene back then. But anyway, so flash forward a little bit ahead. So he's got this problem. You know, he wants to go to Metallica, or he wants to do this security gig for Lamb of God. Now, again, myriad of feelings about Metallica. You know, I would go and see them just out of nostalgia, because it was one of the first concerts that I'd ever gone to see. As a matter of fact, I think it was the first concert. Yes, as a matter of fact, it was. Injustice for All. And I had a fantastic time. And, you know, they put on a really good concert. I had a chance to see them for Master of Puppets, but they destroyed the Long Beach Amphitheater, and that didn't happen. I mean, they literally destroyed it. They caused like $40,000 worth of damage or some shit like that. People were ripping the seats out of the ground and throwing them at one another. It was pretty wild from what I understand. Anyway, so he's trying to make this decision, and I'm like, well, you can pay me to do the Lamb of God security gig, and then you go and see Metallica. And I communicated then that I really wanted to go see that Prong concert, but I wasn't able to afford a ticket. And I mean, now mind you, it's about 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and the show starts at like 6:30, 6:45, something like that. So even if I did have a ticket, I'd barely make it to see anybody up there. And so Verge Dev comes to the rescue. He says to me, if you will go, I will buy a ticket. And by the grace of 21st century technology, he purchased the ticket, emailed it to me. I then loaded it to my device and was off to the races. And then began a very, very exciting, kind of disappointing adventure. I won't say too disappointing, because I would have to get to the very end of it for you to want to do the happy dance. Okay, so let's just say there's a happy dance at the end of all of this. Okay, I'll give you that much of a spoiler. There's a happy dance at the end. So I got the ticket, I take a shower, all that, and I get out the door, and it's like maybe 5:45 by the time I even get out the door. Now, I don't know Portland worth a shit. So I had previously downloaded MapQuest, and I loaded up the instructions to get there. But for some fucking reason, these people have not included an offline mode, which they really should. Because, there's going to be periods of time when people using that app are not going to have Wi-Fi capability. And so you don't need to maintain GPS contact with somebody in order for them to have a map and the static directions that are not going to change from their current point of departure. Now if something changes in between, okay, I can see there being an issue there, that you would want them to have GPS contact for any kind of modifications that need to be made. But you can resolve that by actually having the map in MapQuest rather than continually having to download the fucking thing. So anyway, MapQuest people, please do something about that. Put a fucking offline mode in there that at least keeps the map up there. That way, if I get off my trajectory, or if I have an issue like, I need gas, I can just look at the fucking map and find a gas station. Because you know what? That really fucking would have helped yesterday. Because anybody who's familiar with the 5 freeway up here, or actually I'd gotten on the 405 when the real problems started. So, actually no, I'm sorry, I was on the 126 when the real problems started. Real problems started was the album that I was playing on my device finished. So I had to flip through on my device to get another album on, or get some more music started. And when I did that, it got out of MapQuest. And when I got out of MapQuest, it quit. And so when I brought it back up, it started all over again. And it's like, where's the fucking Wi-Fi signal? Where's the Wi-Fi signal? I don't know where I am. I don't have a Wi-Fi signal. And so now the directions that I did have are gone. And I'm like, oh fuck. How the fuck am I going to figure out where I am in Portland if I don't have the fucking directions? So I had a Best Buy between me and my destination, so I stopped in there. And I would just like to say to the people at the Gateway Best Buy, you were very, very helpful yesterday. Thank you very, very much. So I get in there and I get a Wi-Fi connection established with their local Wi-Fi. They're the free Wi-Fi at Best Buy. And I get online and I get my instructions refreshed. This time, however, when I got back on, it updated MapQuest. And for some reason, the instructions actually stayed this time. But just as a precaution, I copied them down on a piece of paper by hand. Now in the 21st century, why I couldn't just swipe the fucking thing to a printer, I have no idea. Or tap it to a printer or something like that. I don't know. We're just not there yet, I suppose. So anyway, I copy the instructions down, get back on the road, and I'm looking at my gas. And at the time, I was a little bit between half and a quarter tank. I'm like, I might want to tap that off while I got a gas station right here, but Nah, I'll probably be able to get there and be on my way back on what gas I've got. So, again, I don't know my distances worth of shit between me and Portland. And I get up there, on the 5, and it's a straight line for a really, really long time. The gas stations are clearly visible on either side of the 5 freeway. And I mean, like, miles ahead of you. You can see the fucking signs up above the profile of the scenery. And so, every one of them I'm looking at, I'm like, I'm starting to get a little low on gas. I should probably take care of that. I'll get it a little bit further down the line. And so then I started looking at them and seeing them going, damn, I really should have pulled off right there. And by the time I was at that, I was in a section of the freeway that's very, very weavy and windy and hilly and stuff. And so I can't see the signs anymore. I'm like looking up the embankment looking for like a lit gas station sign, and I can't find one. And so I'm not going to take the chance by just, taking an exit and then, taking the chance that I'm going to have to drive like 18 miles to the nearest town from there because I'm in the middle of farmland and mountains and shit. And so I get into Portland, and again, I don't know Portland for shit. So I think I made a wrong turn or something, and I end up with the river on my right, and my first turn in Portland is supposed to be a right turn. And I'm looking at the right side of my vehicle, and there's a river there. So I'm like, well, obviously I'm not going to be making a right turn anytime soon. And I'm looking off to my left, and I'm losing more and more city features and getting more industrial features. And I'm like, this is starting to suck, because I'm not seeing a fucking gas station anywhere. And now my needle is bouncing off of the E, in the gas tank. And I'm like, any little shift sideways, it looks like I got a little more, and then it goes down, and a little more, and then down. I'm like freaking out now. And so I'd seen a bar about 3 miles back. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to go to the bar. They know where a gas station is. If anybody knows where a gas station is, a bar knows where a gas station is. So I drive back, I find a parking spot really quick, go in, ask the guy, hey, is there a fucking gas station anywhere around here? And he's like, yeah, there's one. It's about 10 blocks up and one street over. And I'm like, oh. But he tells me, he's like, you have to drive your vehicle into a building to get gas. And so now all of a sudden I'm worried that I'm not going to see the signage or something. I'm going to pass right by this place. I'm like, you have to drive into a building? He's like, yeah, don't worry, you won't miss it. It's well lit and all that. I'm like, okay, I'll trust you. So I get back in my vehicle and start back on my road. And I get over one road, and then I go up the road that he tells me to go. And I'm watching off to my right-hand side, and sure enough, it's the most lit-up thing around. There's an old cabbie station, and they have their own gas pump there. But it's not just restricted to their use. It's actually open to the public. And so I pull in, and I ask the guy, so what, are they ashamed of you or something? And he's like, huh? I go, Portland, are they ashamed of you or something? They make you hide away like this? They're ashamed that you're refueling vehicles in the city of Portland or something? And if you're from Portland or that area, you know what I'm talking about. Those fucking people or at least their state, or the Portland, at least the people managing Portland do not like cars. And so they've been trying to phase out the use of cars by putting in trolleys and encouraging bikes and taking up entire lanes and dedicating it to bikes and all this other stupid bullshit. We're not going to go backwards, Portland. We are not going to go backwards. We're going to go forward. And going forward is more individual autonomy. That means individual travel devices, whether it be a car or a personal helicopter or a personal VTOL jet. Don't give a fuck. Skateboard, bicycle, maybe. But, you know, we're moving into the future, and so things need motors so they can go fast. Anyway, so I fuel up my vehicle, and I asked this guy, I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to get to this venue. Where would it be from here? And he's like, oh, okay, well, this is 16th. You need to get to Burnside and then go down Burnside, and then you got to do a hook around because it's a one-way street. I'm like, okay. So I got that. I get the gas, get back out on the road, get to Burnside, and there's 2 lanes on Burnside, a right lane and a left lane. Well, I figure because I need to make a left-hand turn, I'm going to get into the left-hand lane. This is not a correct move, because the left-hand lane was actually the on-ramp to Beaverton. So I didn't even see the sign for it at first. I noticed it. The left lane went down, and I went down with it, and I'm following it around, and I'm like, this looks suspiciously like an on-ramp for a freeway. And I get another 100 yards, and there's this big sign, Beaverton, such and such number of miles. And I'm like, ah! So, and now I'm like pissed. You know, I'm ready to like give up. You know, like, fuck it. I don't care that VirgDev bought me a ticket all the way from fucking Florida. I give up. This is fucking bullshit. It's like 8:20 now. It's going to be 8:30 by the time I get there. Everybody's going to be on the stage and off the stage by the time I get there. Fuck it. You know, because I can't see any overpasses coming because it's all weavy, windy road again, driving up a fucking mountain. And I said, fuck it. I'll take the next exit and just roll the dice. You know, and so I take the exit, and it's going up a 45-degree grade, you know, and then it kind of hooks a little U-ey around and then back around again, and there's an overpass on the other side of the hill that was obscured for some reason. I couldn't see it. Anyway, so I'm like, hallelujah, got an overpass. It's pretty close, not that big a deal. Go back over the overpass, go back on the freeway. I'm like, well, fuck it. The guy paid $44 for the fucking ticket. I might as well at least try and show up. So I get back on the freeway, and I get back into town, and the street that I drop off on is 13th Northwest Avenue. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to get to 6th Northwest, so I just have to find Burnside from here, and I can get there. And so that's exactly what happened. I get on 13th and find Burnside, hang a right or left or whatever it was, and I'm down Burnside, get to 6th, and now I can actually see the lights for the venue, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. So now the challenge of parking, because as I said, they hate cars in Portland, or at least the mayor hates cars in Portland. And they assume that everybody in Portland, or everybody that's going to visit Portland, hates cars too, and likes being ass raped for $9.50 for the first hour for fucking parking. That was one place, and there were places spanning from $2.50 for the first hour to $9.50 for the first hour. Don't ask me to tell you what the difference is. I couldn't tell you. They all look the same. They look like a fucking ripoff to me. So I went around looking for a free parking spot. And you know what? I found one. I found the one free parking spot in all of Portland on 8:30 p.m. yesterday. It was directly across the street from the valet section of a hotel, and the valets are like hanging out in front of the hotel, and one of them starts waving at me and shit, and it's because the way I was lining up my vehicle, it looked like I was going to be parking him in, but I was just trying to get it closer to the curb. Anyway, I asked him, I'm like, hey, you know, where's the venue from here? Because I didn't really pay attention to that. I'm just like, okay, I'm here. I'm within like 2, maybe 3 blocks of the place. So I ask him, and he's like, oh yeah, you go down here, you go down there, and you're there. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go to the venue, and I find the venue, no problem. Go in the door, get in the door, no problem. Get all the way up to the girl that I give the ticket to. Now, I distinctly remember having put the PDF. As a matter of fact, there's a copy of it sitting on my desktop still. I put the PDF of the ticket on my tablet. Now, of course, I forgot that I also have 2 other tickets on there from 2 previous events that I went to. So the one ticket that I can actually view, because I didn't bother to look to see if I could view the thing afterward, was a ticket from a previous event. Now, fortunately for me, she did not look at the actual date on the ticket. But I told her, I'm like, oh man, my friend bought this thing for me from Florida, because she looked at it and she's like, oh, this is for Sub League 2. This is next week. I'm like, oh, fuck. See, I started thinking all kinds of weird thoughts, like maybe VergeDev accidentally bought me a ticket for Sub League 2, and now I'm fucked. I drove all the way to Portland, went through all this bullshit for no reason. And so I told her, I go, man, I just got completely lost coming all the way up here from Jasper. And she's like, oh, shit. You came up here from Jasper? I'm like, yeah. I had a friend out there, and that's where I started my trip from. That's why it was so long. And so she's like, fuck it, just give me your arm. And she put the thing on my arm, and I'm thinking, that's why I went through all this bullshit, so she could do something nice for me. So I get in there, and I'm thinking, I ask her, it goes, has Prong been up? And she showed me the schedule, and they were off at like 7:30 or some shit like that. So, but Testament hadn't started their set yet. And so I get in there, and I've been listening to Testament since I was like 15 years old. I've never seen them live. And honestly, I don't care that I have never seen them live before last night, because they put on a fucking awesome concert. I mean, I don't give a fuck how old Chuck Billy is. That motherfucker can sing. He did an awesome performance. And like, they showcased everybody in the band. Like, they gave him like 2 or 3 minutes to just completely shred, right? And they did. They were all fucking awesome. And so, that's the happy dance. Been listening to metal my whole life. Never got to see Testament live. Been listening to them my whole life. Almost. And got to see them live for the first time last night. Very, very, very good show. Excellent performance. But something really funny happened, though. I don't even know that Prong was there. I don't know that they actually showed up. Because if you look at the ticket, it just says Testament on it. It doesn't say Testament and Prong and Sepultura. And I talked to a guy after the show, and he said that Prong did not show up, and that it was just Testament. So I'm starting to wonder if Prong actually played last night. I don't know. But in any case, it was an adventure. That's to be certain. It was an absolute adventure, and I even got a little bit of video footage. I might load that up and put that up on my YouTube channel. I got one really good lead from the lead guitarist. I got a good shot of him ripping into a lead. But yeah, like I said, all around it was an excellent experience. Even though it had its ups and downs, it did end with a solid happy dance. Thank you again, Verge Dev. So, anywho, let's go ahead and get back into some music here. And, I did want to play some prong right off the bat here. And I got one in mind here. Remove Separate Self off of Ruining Lives here on Coin Metal.
separate self. Separating yourself. Separate yourself. Remove separate self. Disarm it. Separate yourself. Undauntingly. Remove separate self.
And that was Meshuggah with Bleed. And it's so appropriate because we're just like mad fucking raining in the goddamn IRC chat room. If you aren't in there, get in there. Get you some Verge, motherfucker. Yeah, I love making that bot just hit it. It's too cool. You can see there's some additional recipients in there. Get it, get it, get it, get it. Yeah, we hit 8 sats again. Oh my goodness, can you believe that? Oh, so happy. So happy when it happens. Yes. I love it when a good thing happens. And you know, good things have been happening here in Verge. And one of these days, we're actually going to get Verge Dev back on here. One of these days. One of these days. You know. Maybe when I get him on here. I don't know. He was saying something about hooking me up with another show, which would be awesome. But yeah, thank you again, Verge Dev. It was terribly exciting trying to negotiate the intricacies of Portland. I've seen some really interesting things in Portland. I shouldn't disparage it too much, but I dislike it because they allow their river to get so fucking polluted. You know, I mean, as self-righteous as they are about their whole ecology and whatnot, they fail their fish, you know. And one of the things that I find terribly disappointing about it is that they have salmon runs, and they're still allowing the Native Americans to gill net in the river. Now, let me explain something about salmon, and I know this has absolutely nothing to do with cryptocurrencies and or metal, but we're just going to go there because it was part of my experience yesterday. Salmon have to come into fresh water in order to spawn, but they live in salt water. See, what happens is they come upriver, they find a nice little patch of gravel, they lay out the eggs, the male comes along and squirts it with its milk, and they guard over those eggs and make sure that keep everything away until they die. They guard the eggs until they die. And after they die, traditionally what's supposed to go on is a beaver has built a dam in between the period when the salmon came up the river and when the salmon spawned. So now, you know, there's a blockage in the river and it creates a small lake, you know, and some of the water gets through and all that. But anyway, this dam holds until the spring when the snow runoff comes and it blows out the river. Well, when it does that, by then the salmon eggs have hatched and there are fry everywhere, and they get blown down the river, and then they go out into the ocean where they get really big, and then they come all the way back up into the river, and they do the whole cycle all over again. And this whole cycle takes about 4 to 6 years. But it's really hard to do that when there's a bunch of nets between you and where you need to go to do your spawn thing. So it's kind of illogical to be putting the nets there. I mean, when you do it out in the ocean, there's a chance that the fish can get around it, you know. They can circumvent your net, they can avoid you, they get used to your radar pings and whatnot, and they just avoid you. And that's cool, you know, it gives them a fighting chance. But, you know, this is taking advantage of their natural process, something that they have to do just to keep making fish. Well, that's kind of stupid. And there's certainly no long-term perspective going on here, because eventually you're going to net more fish than can maintain the run, and then your run goes bye-bye. But like I said, you know, people not thinking far enough ahead. And it makes the process a lot harder when you're coming up a river that is full of pharmaceutical drugs and urine and poop and all kinds of industrial wastes and a bunch of shit that really should not be in the river. And so, like I said, it's disappointing to me that in a place where they're so keen about their ecology that they would kick a car off the road, but they can't rein in their industrial shit well enough to get the river to be clear. And every time I've gone up to Portland and gone and done any fishing up there, I've always gotten sick. I don't know what it is. There's something in the water. But that was my previous associations with Portland. And then I started going to shows in Portland, and that's kind of changed just a teeny tiny, but only because of the bands. In any case, we are actually going to talk about cryptocurrencies today. Apparently Litecoin had a Lightning node transaction, and that's cool and all, as segregated witness and all that. Of course, it looks like they moved all of 0.05 Litecoin. Now, there's, and it's not yet redeemed. That's interesting. But anyway, good for them. I'm really glad for them. I hope it works out really great. Personally, I hope it never happens to Bitcoin. But if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I hope the user-assisted suicide fork never goes through. Because honestly, here's the thing that bugs me about that. Okay? For an additional $60 worth of investment, you can have your USB hub and a couple of block eruptors, and you could actually be mining Bitcoin profitably right now. Why are you fucking around with this UASF bullshit? If you're going to dedicate the electricity and the fucking bandwidth to having a node, why not be a fucking miner? Get in on that shit. My God, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I mean, you could be mining fucking Verge profitably right now. I mean, everything goes up when Bitcoin goes up. I mean, you gotta. It's so hard to understand, for me at least, why more people don't view it that way. There's been this perspective with regard to mining that I find inherently offensive. Okay, this idea that just because today, this very fucking second, when you fire up those miners and you look at your calculations for the possibility of you making a profit and it says no, if you are making your decision based on what it says right now, you will never start mining. You will never get in on it. That's just the way, that's the reality. If you're going to mine, if you want to participate on that level, then mine. Do it. Just fucking do it. You have to understand, Bitcoin is a limited commodity. There are only ever going to be 21 million of them on our current trajectory, and I hope that never changes too. There's been talk about that, and fucking stupid. Anyway, there's only ever going to be 21 million of them. So the more people are trying to get them, the more valuable they become. So just because right now, without your hashing power dedicated to the network, without you participating, it's not profitable, it doesn't mean that once you've added however many terahashes or gigahashes even, or megahashes, I don't give a fuck. Whatever bandwidth you dedicate to it will be rewarded. You are increasing the demand for the available Bitcoin by the very by engaging in the process of mining. What happens to something when the demand for it increases? Can anybody tell me? The price increases. That's right, folks. Supply, demand. The demand increases for a limited supply item, commodity, whatever it may be. The price for it goes up. And as there are going to be an infinite number of Federal Reserve notes, that means the upward trajectory of Bitcoin, given its demand and its exchange rate against an ever-inflating fiat currency, there's all kinds of potential for you to profit. So again, while you are fucking around with trying to dick the goddamn network for the banks is beyond me. Okay, if you want to flag support for segregated witness on your miner, please go right ahead. I don't care. Just get involved in the mining. It has other impacts that I think are completely underplayed. You know, the more nodes that are dedicated to the network, the stronger the network is. The more nodes on the network, the fewer hops it has to make in order to make it confirm. Faster confirmation times. My God, why wouldn't we want that? More miners, stronger network, these are all good things. Increased demand, that's how this game is supposed to work. And you guys dicking off and being all fucking confused and just fucking participate. You'll find out everything you need to know by the act of participation. It's like if you try and get your miners associated and you're finding out, oh fuck, I forgot a goddamn letter or a number in my wallet address. It's not going to my address. It's getting spaced. Oh my God, I've lost 10 cents worth of Bitcoin figuring out this lesson. The reason we make mistakes is so we have an opportunity to learn. So make some fucking mistakes. You hear that. I'm sure there are some of you out there who are fans of the Marvel Universe. I am. And Tony Stark gives a really impassioned speech before he gives away all kinds of grant money. And the last thing he says is, get out there and break some eggs. Fuck, get out there and break some eggs. You don't get omelets without eggs. You're not going to get anything without participating. There's no free lunch. And really all you got to do is dedicate a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and keep showing up. That's really all there is to it. Anyway, enough haranguing. We're actually going to get back into articles so we can tap into consensus reality, or at least some semblance of it. Because I don't hear anybody else telling you this shit. Get the fucking ball, bitches. So here it is. This one's off of Bitcoin Warrior. Debenabana's vampiric Bitcoin bill rises from the dead for the third time. Matt Debababa, Assemblyman for California's 45th District, has introduced for the third time a bill that would handcuff Bitcoin businesses no matter size nor function. In essence, any business utilizing Bitcoin for anything other than sale or purchase would need to pay a $5,000 registration fee with an additional $2,500 yearly fee. For this fee, it is unclear what service or benefit the businesses would be getting other than to have a piece of paper to wave when the authorities come to visit. In principle, Bitcoin Warrior is not opposed to government regulations when they are enacted and enforced for the good of the community, defined as the largest number of people and which do the least damage. Unfortunately, regulations have gotten a bad rap as they are too often merely a show of activity on the part of politicians, heedless of the collateral damage they do. See the plethora of laws enacting security theater after 9/11, i.e. DHS, Patriot Act 2, all that other bullshit, and protectionist rackets by entrenched interests. See the infamous hairstylist licenses, which is fucking ridiculous. If this law is truly in the interest of the people, it would not, 1, be framed as an extortionate power grab, and number 2, have been preceded by studies of, would have been preceded, you dipshit, by studies of actual use cases and problems encountered by those using Bitcoin. Each provision could then be supported by specifics indicating its need. In recent years, the Bitcoin Foundation has fallen out of favor and largely out of awareness of the majority of the Bitcoin community. It and its former director, Bruce Fenton, have been stepping up to the plate on issues like this and protecting Bitcoin from overzealous politicians. Please send your thanks and support to both the Foundation and the EFF, which have done so much to kill the previous 2 incarnations of this bill. Yeah, I agree. Although this article could have been written a little better, and it's not very specific as to who actually wrote this, so we don't know who to shout at. God damn it. Well, bastard who wrote this, it's a decent article, but I think you could have gone farther. There are very many specifics that can be included in an article of this nature that will better clarify exactly how damaging that bill is. And by the way, in case you were not paying attention, AB 1123 is now the name of KSHIT license, or California Bit license, as it sits in the for consideration. And really, if you don't have time to read it, I understand. I did the reading for you. Please listen to Coin Metal 5.3.2017. That one's up on my YouTube channel. I did include the Easter eggs because it is legislation, and legislation can be boring. But, in all honesty, I didn't have any trouble finding drama in it, because there's a lot of fucking drama in that thing. Because as the author of that last article, whoever they were, indicated, it is broad sweeping and extortionate. And it's so free of definition that they could do pretty much anything they want. I mean, if it involves cryptocurrencies, they could say you need to pay $5,000 to apply for the right to do that legally in the state of California. Just apply for it, not actually get a license. It's fucking sickening. Anyway, moving on. This one's on the Cointelegraph, Future of Money. Japan to roll out fixed deposit interest for Bitcoin. And this one is by Alexander Giralis. And I'm going to inflate the size of the font on this one because, amazingly enough, my eyes are worth shit today. Got strangled, did a shit ton of workout in the garden. It's an exciting day. Anyways, Japan to roll out fixed deposit interest for Bitcoin. From one first to the next, Japan will soon offer Bitcoin users fixed-term deposits with interest. The Financial Services Agency has yet to push for regulation as it watches from the sidelines of what could seriously challenge the traditional bank's fixed-term deposits. Asian Nikkei reports that digital currency users and traders will soon be able to earn interest from the exchange. This fixed deposit interest accruing account is the first of its kind made available in Japan. 4 fixed deposit options. CoinCheck, founded by Koichiro Wada and Yusuke Orsuka, has operated as an exchange since 2014, exchanging up to 160 million worth of transactions per month. Its track record helps build credibility for clients interested in the interest accruing accounts that will be rolled out. The company will roll out 4 fixed deposit options: a 14-day option with a 1% annual interest accrual, 30-day option with a 2% annual accrual, and a 90-day option with 3 annual percent interest. The longest time deposit and highest interest accrual will be for a 12-month fixed deposit netting 5% interest gain. This can prove a popular option as traditional banks in Japan moved their interest rates to 0% earlier this year. Impact on demand for Bitcoin. Japan's Financial Services Agency declared that the deposits are exempt from banking regulations as Bitcoin is not yet legal tender. There is speculation that they might change their stance on regulation if Bitcoin becomes a widespread method of payment. With multiple parties applying for exchange licenses to operate in Japan, it is likely that competing exchanges will offer the same value-added benefit to their customers. The scaling adoption of Bitcoin as a means of payment in physical stores drove up the price of the currency to record highs. If digital currency deposits succeed as fixed deposit accounts, there is no doubt that the demand will rise even further. That's a very interesting thing. However, I predict they will get wrecked. All it would take is a massive drop in the price of Bitcoin, and at least one of these funds would get cratered. I don't know. With the time spans that they're talking about, though, I think they might be able to avoid a lot of that. I mean, with 30 days, I mean, that's a reasonable time. I mean, if you look at Bitcoin over the last 30 days, shit, it would have made $700 per fucking Bitcoin, at least in U.S. markets. Now, how that would have been in Japan markets is another thing. But I covered this on Monday, and I think it's really important to remember that when you're talking about the quote-unquote price of Bitcoin, you are talking about an exchange rate between 2 separate currencies with 2 separate dynamics behind them. One of them of finite supply, one of them of infinite supply. You just have to keep this in mind to understand that invariably, over time, the one of finite supply will be worth more than the one of infinite supply, because the supply of the one that's of infinite supply is going to expand over time. Take any 12-month period, take any 6-month period, take any 1-month period. The amount of Federal Reserve notes expanded in a 30-day period. I guarantee it. What percentage rate? I couldn't tell you, because nobody knows, because nobody can actually get an audit of the Fed's books. And something that Ron Paul had been trying to do for about, 30 years, and his son's been trying to do it for another 4. Whether or not they'll ever pass that and get a look at the books is a whole other story. I mean, we are talking about a private bank, and so they do have a right to some sort of privacy, but I think the fact that they have the world reserve currency at their disposal and discretion, that kind of gives the public a greater need for transparency. We can't rely on trust anymore. That's kind of obvious. That trust is a broken model, especially now that we don't have to trust. We can verify Fuck, show me the Federal Reserve's cold wallet address. I want to see what their fund status is. If I can't do that, then I'm not going to trust them. Because for all I know, they're waving a magic wand and adding fucking zeros to the end of their balance sheet. You know? And we can't run the world economy like that anymore. You know, if we ever could. You know, the value always gets lost by somebody. You know, and that means that somebody that was supplying something is going to come up short. And that means that there's that much less likelihood that they're going to be doing business next month. And that much less likelihood that you're going to be able to do business with them. So there are ripple effects to policy, people. And you know, it seems like there's either an undeclared policy at foot, which I'm sure there is, or just complete unawareness out there of how this stuff actually functions, and I'm sure there's plenty of that too. And it's with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and throw in some music, and I would like to celebrate the fact that Megadeth is still making new music after all of this time. And so here it is, Dystopia, off of the album of the same name, here on Coin Metal.
Outlawing all the questions to the my head. Digging in my head. Digging in my head.
And that was Time, Got the Time by Anthrax. Man, if that song doesn't get you going, you're just not human. Excellent song. Excellent song. Anyway, I've been seeing a lot of stuff going on recently with various altcoins, because I watch that kind of stuff, or at least I try to. And I've been seeing Vericoin popping up quite a bit. And I don't know too much about them, but I came across this thing. It's their development roadmap. It looks like it's 23 pages, and it's pretty big. So, I mean, like, big as in the font is pretty huge. So, as far as, like, how many actual papers, it's not very long, really. So, a lot of it's, like, pictures and stuff. And, yeah. We're going to read it. And they do have... Oh, that's funny. I'm looking at something on here showing that they're one of their protocols on here has white paper listed as coming soon. So I thought that was kind of humorous. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna read this thing here, and I don't know if we're ever going to do their. We might actually do their proof of stake time thing. I don't really believe in proof of stake. I think you should just fucking mine it. I don't think you should get anything for having it in your wallet. It's already appreciating against fucking Federal Reserve note and every other fiat currency out there. Why the fuck do you need to be compensated even more for having it? Anyway, I'm sure that there's some sort of thing like where your wallet is like a node or some shit like that. Anyway, we're gonna read this thing. Welcome to Vericoin, the first dual blockchain digital currency. Dual. I wonder if that's so you can be like Hillary Clinton, where you have like a public face and then a private face. We'll find out. The first dual blockchain digital currency supported by a purely digital asset. Verium. What the fuck is Verium? Vericoin and Verium will be the first dual blockchain protocol technology that will pair a digital currency and digital asset, forming a cohesive financial system called a binary chain. Current digital currencies face an impossible task of trying to be both a fast currency and a secure store of value. Vericoin and Verium together solve this problem with a dual blockchain system called a binary chain. A binary chain secures and accelerates transactions by leveraging complementary protocol technologies, proof of stake time and proof of work time, into a cutting-edge blockchain ecosystem. Most blockchain currencies rely on one chain, one point of consensus, and thus one potential point of failure. A binary chain forms a strong bond across two chains, no central point of failure, and a shared consensus system. Through auxiliary mining, auxiliary proof of work, or AUX POW, Verium miners will be able to mine both Verium and Vericoin blocks, speeding up Vericoin's blockchain to 20 seconds and beyond. AUX POW will allow both Vericoin and Verium to support larger transaction volume at a faster transaction rate per second due to Verium's variable block time. The binary chain can vastly outcompete Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies with a single chain. Wallet addresses and private keys are shared across both chains to allow easy account transfer between digital asset and digital currency. This together makes Vericoin and Verium's binary chain the ideal blockchain system. Both chains are self-sustaining with no single central point of failure, making them truly unique. Together they create a more secure, faster, and safer financial system. What is Vericoin? Vericoin is a purely digital currency that runs on its own protocol, proof of stake time, which is unique to Vericoin. Vericoin transactions are currently 10 times faster than Bitcoin, nearly instant, and via Verium will become even faster. Unlike Bitcoin, you gain interest like a savings account by simply leaving your digital wallet running on your computer. This process is known as staking, another form of digital minting of new coins, and helps validate transactions on the Vericoin network. Vericoin allows anyone in the world with an internet connection the ability to transfer and receive funds in a matter of seconds. People who are not able to or do not have access to a bank account will now have access to an already established and flourishing financial network. Vericoin is backed by the technology that will change the world. Ripple. Vericoin facts and technology. Vericoin POST digital currency. Number 1. Extremely low transaction fees. Number 2. No central point of failure. Number 3. No chargebacks. Number 4. No counterfeiting. Number 5. Controlled by network consensus. Number 6. Virtually instant transactions. Number 7. Fairly mined without pre-mine. Proof of stake time, POST. Number 1. Fully decentralized POS. No syncing, checkpointing. Number 2. Protocol security against competitive forks. Number 3. Protocol security against coin attacks. Number 4. More active staking results in higher rewards. Number 5. Disinflation targeted interest, low inflation. And number 6. More decentralized consensus than Bitcoin. And we might read the POST protocol white paper today too, because that one's only 16 pages. What is Verium? Verium is a purely digital asset/commodity run on its own unique protocol, proof of work time. Verium was created to be an innovative, independent store of value asset. In addition to supporting the Vericoin blockchain, Verium solves the blockchain scaling issue by introducing a new variable block time paradigm that speeds up as mining power increases. This allows Verium to automatically scale, enhance transaction speed and capacity while ensuring security at any level of mining. Through Verium's auxiliary mining protocol, Verium will also process Vericoin blocks. This process will speed up Vericoin's block time to 20 seconds and beyond. This enables Vericoin's network to provide an efficient and scalable ecosystem for consumer transactions well beyond current standards. Verium is accessible to anyone with a PC or laptop in 3 easy steps. Download, install, click to mine. It's that easy. Verium facts and technology. Verium proof of work time. Number 1. Auto-scaling variable block time dependent on computational power. Number 2. Rewards and VRM. Number 3. Reward halving per minute decrease in block time. Number 4. Security and efficiency via reward and block time computational power dependency. Number 5. Script squared memory hard mining. Whatever the fuck that means. And number 6. ASIC and GPU resistant due to low efficiency. Pairing with Vericoin. Number 1. 10 times lower supply than Vericoin. Current supply 1 million Verium. Number 2. At least 10 times more costly to send than Vericoin. Number 3. Verium auxiliary mining of Vericoin blocks and bonus VRC rewards. Number 4. Further decentralizes Vericoin and automatically scales it. Number 5. decentralized on-chain swap to Vericoin and Vericoin to Verium Artis, whatever the fuck that means. And I guess it's number 6, fair Vericoin only funded ICO. And with the POWT protocol white paper coming soon. Roadmap to a merged dual blockchain system. Number 1, Cypher. Number 2, Usor. Number 3, Artis. Number 4, Stratum. Number 5, Gemini. Number 6, Mobile Apps. And number 7, Project Social. And number 8, Mass Adoption. Number 1, what is Cypher? My question exactly. Cypher is an on-chain encryption optional messaging system. Cypher can be used to communicate from one wallet to another with the option of storing encrypted data. The purpose of using Cypher is to protect your privacy and secure your information. Cypher also allows for decentralized voting on community initiatives and development decisions. Additionally, it forms the basis for future distributed apps that rely on blockchain data storage and transfer, including smart contracts. Number 2. What is Usor? Usor is an on-chain decentralized username system that will allow users to assign unique usernames to their desired address. Easily send and receive your currency or asset simply by using a unique username. Long, complicated addresses will be a thing of the past. You will be able to register the same unique username on both blockchains, as Vericoin and Verium private keys and addresses are interchangeable across both chains. What is Artis? Artis is an on-chain decentralized anonymous exchange between Verium and Vericoin. Trading your Vericoin for Verium or your Verium for Vericoin anonymously without the need for a third party. Artis allows round-trip trading and will allow users to obfuscate their own funds with unlinked transactions and start fresh addresses. Vericoin and Verium share private keys and wallet addresses, allowing you to send to the same addresses on the Vericoin and Verium blockchains. 4. What is Stratum? Stratum is a communications layer built on top of the Vericoin blockchain. A JSON-based API allows communication between external distributed applications, smart contracts, and other blockchain-powered systems. Some potential applications. Veripay would allow you to load your Vericoin wallet with a debit card or credit card. Veripay will allow you to tap pay at Visa and MasterCard payment terminals using the mobile app. The marketplace will be a fully decentralized merchant portal for the Vericoin network, allowing you to bid on or sell items that are posted on the network. Number 5. What is Gemini? Gemini is the merging of both blockchains into one full-featured wallet. The Gemini wallet will allow you to stake your Vericoin and mine your Verium at the same time. The Gemini wallet will merge all Vericoin and Verium technologies into one easy-to-use package. It will allow you to communicate, trade, and participate in a fully decentralized and encrypted environment. Number 6. The mobile wallets. The Vericoin mobile wallet will allow you to stake on the go or while you sleep and make mobile payments with Vericoin. With Vericoin's efficient use of power, low computational consumption, and instant payments, you will always have your Vericoin ready to spend. The Vericoin mobile wallet will allow you to mine from your mobile device. By default, it will mine while charging on Wi-Fi or schedule the app to mine while you sleep. With smartphone processors becoming more powerful, Verium will have the world's largest mining network spanning the globe, allowing anyone with a smartphone to participate in the mining network and mining a digital asset while they sleep. Both mobile wallets will be built for iOS and Android. Number 7. Project Social. What is Project Social? Project Social is an integrated social media app available on Android and iOS devices. This application will provide real-world application uses to Vericoin as well as foster a larger, more mainstream adoption of the cryptocurrency. It will enable the use of Vericoin as a mainstream transaction system and represent a stunning real-world use case for Vericoin. Send money to your friends and family anywhere in the world in an innovative social media network. This application is just a slight glimpse into the vast and ever-growing development ecosystem that is spawned under the advancements of Vericoin and Verium technology. Welcome to the future of social media with Vericoin. Will be built for Android and iOS. Developers Douglas Pike and Dr. Patrick Nosker. Also Benjamin Mahala, David Boehm, and third-party developers Project Social, Will Maddock, and marketing firm Kevin Alvarez and Michael G. Barrett. And that's about it. Well, interesting. Although I believe we've seen stuff like this before. I believe Shadowcoin was attempting to do all of this under a single app, or just various things under a single app. And I could never get the wallet to work right. I don't know if it was something wrong with me or something wrong with it. I do always entertain the possibility that I am the pebcac. You know, you are the pebcac. It happens, you know. You get a little excited, you don't read something right, and something doesn't work as you expect it. You are the pebcac. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down just a teeny tiny more music, and then of course we'll dabble back into Vericoin, as we do have one of their white papers, and we will read it. And so, let's see here. What to play. Well, you know, I've played a couple songs off of this album, but I've never had like all of them available to me. For some reason, I just wasn't clicking on the right thing for my entire library. It's funny too, because this view that I'm looking at, it actually has genre on here, and for Crowbar it actually separates two albums, one of them as being sludge metal and the other as being doomcore metal, which I don't understand. It's the same fucking band. Anyway, we're gonna play a little bit of Crowbar, at least to start off our music break. And what the hell? It's all in the gravity here on Coin Metal.
Weight on your head to lessen the blow.
relaxing world of pleasure, a pleasure that I'm taking my mind of the reality of my life, my past life. Love as I know it now, and whatever may come, it slowly dies out parts. There's someone in the back of my mind, it will remain there till the west are a dreamer.
that was Cannibal by Static X. And before that, we drifted a little bit off the beaten path with regard to an interesting choice by myself about Slipknot. And you gotta do it occasionally. I haven't listened to Gently in a while, and so it was time to play it again. It's like just gotta do it. Anyway, back into articles. I hate to do it, but I'm going to because I've got the time. I've got this proof of stake time in front of me by Vericoin. Let's dive into it. Let's see what these guys had to say in their white paper here. And this is by Douglas Pike, Patrick Nosker, David Boehm, Daniel Grisham, Steve Woods, and Joshua Marston. A time-accepted periodic proof factor in a nonlinear distributed consensus. Proof of stake time. Let's see what this bad boy is all about. A purely distributed consensus in an efficient digital currency would enable a nearly instant and nearly free transaction system across the globe, independent of border, nation, government, or bank. We herein propose a time-accepted nonlinear consensus that maintains the efficiencies of proof of stake while increasing the distribution and security of the consensus system with a diminishing probability to find a proof and receive reward over time. This is achieved via a periodic time acceptance function that is proportional to the coins held and relative to network strength. This time acceptance model ensures that relatively active staking maximizes reward and probability to form consensus via proof. This incentivizes direct and active protection of the network. Furthermore, voluntary participation in the network is driven by an inflation-targeted interest rate that is inversely proportional to network strength. This increasingly rewards nodes which consistently reinforce network security. This is in addition to a time-diminishing inflation rate that is proportional to network strength and active participation in reaching consensus and relative to the proof-of-work distributive initial supply. The combination of costs and rewards favors direct participation in the protection of the consensus, providing enhanced security, equability, and distribution of both consensus and currency over time. Introduction. Centralized to distributed systems. And I gotta check something really quick. Oh, cool. Haha. Centralized to distributed systems. In network systems, there exists a spectrum of hierarchical control, from centralized to distributed. The current standard for most networks, including banking systems, governments, and businesses, is centralized. These network structures are simple, high capacity, and centrally controlled. They inherently give full control to a minority of administrators in service of the majority of users of a system. This is beneficial in that it minimizes data sharing costs and control conflicts. Centralized systems are also intuitive by nature due to strict hierarchical social systems having been the most efficient option available for developing of society since the dawn of civilization. Centralized power institutions have served empires, governments, and economies relatively well, as information need only pass through the few. As technology progresses, however, there is not only the ability to form efficient distributed systems over a global network, there is a growing necessity. As evidenced in the recent breach of major banking institutions, resulting in millions of identities and accounts stolen, centralized systems are vulnerable to attack. This vulnerability is structural in that one compromised target can grant access to majority control and ownership of the target data. This can make the upfront cost and time required to mount a successful security attack justifiable. Conversely, distributed systems often require numerous simultaneous attacks, each with a diminished return proportional to distribution. As a result, attacks on distributed systems can be very costly, challenging, and ultimately unprofitable. This is in stark contrast to centralized systems, which are in a perpetual cat-and-mouse game. Much of the overhead cost of a centralized system is devoted to maintaining a competitive security edge, rather than developing improvements to the system itself. Distributed systems, by comparison, become more secure as the network grows, allowing resources to be directed to the consumer or to development and innovation. The ultimate challenge of a distributed system is to reap the benefits of this robust architecture without sacrificing efficiency. For the data and control to be truly distributed, information must pass through each node of the system equally, and the network must reach a consensus on the accuracy of this data. Proof of work cost as an incentive to centralize. Bitcoin is the first publicly successful distributed consensus system where consensus certifies a store of value. Value is an ideal proof of principle vehicle, proving that distributed systems can be used to form public consensus secured via proofs. Due to the structural security strength of distributed systems relative to fully centralized systems, Bitcoin's consensus ledger of transactions is both valuable and resistant to attack. In Bitcoin, proof of work secures the ledger with a floating difficulty which determines the cost of each vote in the consensus as proportional to computational power. This system has proven its security, but it does come with significant overhead. The high costs of forming consensus, termed mining, has incentivized a centralization of resources that minimizes costs and risks for miners. Miners do not necessarily have stake in the currency itself after the sale to recoup costs. Also, unlike the precious metal miner, they have keys to the security and consensus of the system. Minimizing these risks and costs has resulted in 3 to 5 large centralized pools of computational power, contributing the vast majority of consensus. This results in a total operating cost in the millions of dollars per day for what is often a 3 and 5 consensus. Though this distributed consensus achievement is remarkable in its own right, the proof of work has many advantages unique to the system. Still, this centralization phenomenon is a potentially slippery slope that has two significant security vulnerabilities. The first of these vulnerabilities is as distribution of the system is reduced in order to offset cost and risk for those who form the consensus, the number of compromised targets needed to manipulate consensus becomes increasingly intractable and less costly. The second of these vulnerabilities is, as the number of entities required for consensus decreases, the risk of collusion increases exponentially. Though there may be other ways to address centralization of the consensus, efficiency may in fact be the most direct, and this is why we have developed Vericoin and this new proof system. We propose a distributed protocol system based on Purecoin's proof of stake that addresses the two major security deficiencies of proof of work, which stem from the exceptional cost to run the system. This is achieved while also directly addressing the most significant weaknesses in the current POS protocols via a nonlinear time-accepted consensus proof and an inflation-targeted variable interest reward system. Proof of stake, a solution with drawbacks. proof of stake. To the best of our knowledge, the idea behind proof of stake originated in comments about Bitcoin by Nick Szabo in May 2011, discussing viable alternative proof systems. Months later, the term proof of stake and other aspects related to this potential proof system were described in the Bitcoin Talk forum by user Quantum Mechanic. Then later that year, in November 2011, Sunny King made the first commits on GitHub, and the development and implementation of this proof system had begun. One of the primary benefits of proof of stake system is its efficiency. Proof of work is inherently inefficient, as it is a brute force proof in which only greater performance increases the probability of finding the correct hash and creating a block. This has resulted in a computational power horse race where cost and risks drive the system toward efficiency, and in some cases further away from distribution of the consensus. We propose that a lower cost to perform the proof more effectively enables a long-term distribution of the consensus, while consensus is more favorably formed by those with vested interests in the security of the system. However, proof of stake in its current form does have significant drawbacks that mitigate the effectiveness of this distributed consensus system. The rich can rule, or the poor can attack. In proof of work, the cost and difficulty of forming the consensus secures the history of the ledger, as an attacker would have to outcompete more than half of the network power at any given time. This is a costly endeavor and will likely become more costly over time as the system grows. This is one of the greatest strengths of the proof of work system, as is in large part why it stands the test of time. In current proof of work systems, the consensus is weighted by coins, not computational resources. In this way, an inexpensive botnet cannot dominate the consensus by mere size. Each node must have a fraction of the supply that makes the probability to solve the proof possible. This is the cost that protects the consensus from trivial attacks and manipulation. Another benefit of this weighting of the consensus is those with vested interest in the viability and security of the system are more directly forming the consensus. This coin weighting scheme does, however, enable collusion, where a minority of holders are approving the majority of blocks, and the majority of blocks are formed by the same minority. In this scenario, distribution of the consensus is lost, and those with few coins are merely owning a share of a semi-centralized collusion risk pool. Neither the rich ruling nor the poor attacking is an acceptable outcome for a distributed consensus proof. Vericoin, the first proof of stake coin, offset both of these risks by implementing a hybrid proof of work and proof of stake system where the stake is defined as coin age. Coin age versus coin as stake quantity. Coin age in Vericoin is defined as the product of the total coins from a transaction and the time difference between the current block and the block of its previous transaction. It generates a proof for Vericoin in the following form. Proof of hash is less than coins times age times target. In this proof, coin lots most likely to find a proof are both high in coin and age. This results in a more diversified consensus, as smaller lots of coin can still take part but require more vested time. This quantity ensures that nearly all coins available to stake will eventually. Also, those that do stake are deeper in the main chain, mitigating novel attack vectors. If uncapped, however, age can be exploited to enable an attack vector where a moderate coin cost can gain the majority of the consensus. Vericoin chose to cap age at 6 months to prevent this type of attack from becoming too inexpensive over long periods of time. Two criticals in proof-of-stake currencies are NXT and Blackcoin. The NXT currency was the first exclusively proof-of-stake currency, which is important, and then it completely eliminated the overhead cost, which is common in proof-of-work systems. It also is one of the few currencies where the code base is not forked from Bitcoin. This sets the stage for iterations that further depart from Bitcoin's original architecture. The NXT developers did not include age as a factor in reaching consensus in order to mitigate the risks associated with excessive age. Blackcoin is currently based on the Vericoin protocol that is also exclusively proof-of-stake and in many ways ushered a new era of proof-of-stake currencies. This is due to the fact that most proof-of-stake currencies are forked from the Blackcoin source. Blackcoin protocol development outpaces most and remains a leader with NXT in proof-of-stake development and implementation. In the development of their own custom proof system, they also removed age similarly to NXT, where the proof is in the form. And proof 2 is proof hash is less than coins times target. Vericoin forked from the Blackcoin source code prior to their implementation of a custom protocol and launched with a Novacoin modified version of the Vericoin protocol. To further iterate, we are proposing a new protocol that retains the distribution of consensus that CoinAge enables while preventing inexpensive attacks. After the hack of MintPal that resulted in approximately 30% of total Vericoin supply being stolen from a centralized security deficient exchange, we experienced directly the inherent weaknesses of both centralization as well as the proof-of-stake system. When a dishonest entity captured enough coin to control the vast majority of the consensus and potentially exploit the system, we, along with the community, opted to hard fork the blockchain to prevent this attack. With or without age, this potential attack could not have been stopped. After much debate and reconciliation with the community and market at large, we knew we needed to develop a system that is far superior and mitigates this risk as completely as possible. Introducing the Proof-of-Stake Time Protocol. Stake time as an alternative to CoinAge. We propose a solution to a number of the major deficiencies in current proof-of-stake models. This is achieved by introducing a nonlinear proof function that defines a fraction of time active and idle at a given block. Idle time is defined as the fraction of age that no longer supports the distribution of consensus and instead begins to degrade it. This quantified idle time is unique to each stake, as it decreases the probability to meet the proof and impacts the fraction of earnable matured interest via consensus, where the fraction of accepted age f is equal to the squared cosine of the product of pi and that transaction's consensus power p, defined as the fraction CoinAge g, of the average network-wide stake weight n over 60 blocks, 1 hour, figure 1. If the consensus power p is greater than 0.45, all age is lost, and the time active fraction is equal to the minimum stake time of 8 hours. In consensus power for p equals g divided by n. Time active fraction f. Oh shit! I'm not even gonna bother. Figure 1, stake time function consensus power. As the contribution of coin age approaches the majority of the network weight, a greater fraction of age is deemed as idle time and is not accepted by the network. The resulting effect of this function is that it requires a network activity level that is proportional to the number of coins held and relative to the network strength. In this method, actively staking is incentivized to maximize both the likelihood to sign a block and to earn all of the matured interest in reward. The stake time function is used both in the proof and in the quantification of reward. We define stake time as the coin age of a transaction or set of transactions in which the stake time is the product of the total coins and the fraction C and the fraction F of acceptable age A in the form stake time is S equals C times A times F. Like coin age, the network accepted stake time is a trust score for coins and depth on the main chain, but also for activity in the network. Unlike proof of work or proof of stake, the likelihood to participate in consensus can decrease over time. The contribution of these two factors must be in delicate balance with the network in order to maximize the probability to stake coins. This proof is in the form proof of hash is less than coins times stake time times target. Distribution of a consensus majority. Maintaining a minimal idle time inherently increases the probability to stake while reducing the probability of a successful attack. This results in a moving window that is exponentially more difficult to target for attack, enhancing security of the system from the core structure of a nonlinear consensus. This trust score diminishes with increased idle time towards a minimum trust score, which is equal to the number of coins. Oh man, long. While the network approaches equilibrium with the proof of stake protocol, age will accumulate and plateau across the network. After achieving equilibrium of accumulated age, a network race results to stake as many coin lots as possible before a lot leaves the stake time window. In addition, all participants in the consensus must have reached at least a marginal depth in the main chain and be actively processing transactions to achieve maximal consensus weight. This staking behavior directly protects the blockchain. Ultimately, a maximum network strength is directed away from consensus majority. This results in, on average, a more evenly distributed and more secure staking system, which is exponentially more difficult to attack. Interesting. Actively staking is most profitable. In order to maximize the probability of earning all matured interest and signing a block during a period of time, a node must stake actively to ensure passage through the stake time window for all coins held. When network strength is lower, the fraction of age is deemed idle time. The fraction of age deemed idle time increases. This increases in relative stakers being penalized with some loss of matured interest and decreasing probability to stake. By decreasing the likelihood to stake, the inactive staker is susceptible to accumulating age at a faster rate than those actively staking. To regain optimal probability of earning all matured interest, this staker must resume active staking to make up for lost time. Conversely, individuals who are staking with little to no idle time earn their full matured interest reward, even in a weaker network state. When acceptable age is low and interest rate is high due to the proof of stake targeted inflation rate, where did I go with that? Where the hell is it? Oh geez, I lost my spot. The results of blah 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 blah. Conversely, individuals who are staking with little to no idle time earn their full matured interest reward even in a weaker network state. When acceptable age is low and interest rate is high due to the POST targeted inflation rate. As a workaround, accumulated idle time could be reset by sending coins to another wallet, but this comes at a cost. Fees are paid to those who are actively staking, and all matured interest due is lost. In summation, the behavior that is by far the most profitable is to stake as actively as possible. This further incentivizes a stable, well-supported network. Active rich and the vested poor. This protocol addresses other major drawbacks of the POS system, one being the rich rule problem. In proof of stake time, the richest holders must actively stake more often, since the protocol requires an activity per coin to receive proportional reward. This has two impacts once the age of the network has achieved equilibrium. The first of these impacts is that those with fewer coins have the ability to contribute more to consensus over time as depth in the main chain increases, further distributing consensus. The second impact is that larger holders will have more significant vote in the consensus proportional to their coin amount, but must also earn their ability to maintain an optimal trust score. This means that fewer coins held, the greater age required to successfully stake, and the less idle time registered. As a result, each coin lot will be met with a relative definition of idle time. The consensus field is significantly more distributed across a wider range of coin totals, while the blockchain is still protected by the cost of a coin. As a low coin wallet earns a maximal trust score, the quantification of idle time is exponentially steeper. Due to the stake time product, any loss of age is more significant as fewer coins are held, preventing inexpensive votes. Something at stake. Another significant advantage to the system, which we will be quantifying the effectiveness as time passes, is its ability to address the nothing at stake challenge of proof of stake. In proof of stake, chain splitting can be common due to a lack of work required to become the longest chain. In proof of stake, however, as a wallet approaches a majority of network weight, its individual weight diminishes proportionally in age. Stake weight in the event of a fork is contributed to the weight of that particular fork, so if a wallet has the majority of coin necessary to fork the main chain, it is likely to have a majority of the weight for that fork. In proof of stake time, the result is a stake weight that will rapidly diminish, slowing a fork considerably relative to that of the main chain. Ultimately, this mechanism can prevent a competing chain with less distributed consensus from surpassing the more distributed main chain. Inversely paired interest model. In proof of stake time, it is nearly impossible to effectively manipulate the interest rate, despite the fact that this variable interest rate falls within a wide range. As network weight increases, the degree of idle time quantified on average is less, resulting in more matured interest earned over longer periods of time. Due to a low inflation targeted variable interest rate, however, the interest in these periods will be significantly lower. Conversely, if network strength is low, the interest rate will rise and quantified idle time will be greater. If any node attempts to subvert the system by staking during high interest rates or waiting for the network idle time to diminish, they will either experience a reduced interest rate or a loss of matured interest entirely. This results in a network where only those who have earned minimal idle time by actively staking will reap the full benefit of their staking across the spectrum of interest and accepted maturity. Inflation-targeted interest for incentive-driven security. Network stake-dependent interest rate. Vericoin initially launched with network state-dependent interest in order to provide a variable network interest rate ranging between approximately 1.8% and 2.6% contingent on the network stake weight according to the formula interest reward R equals G times I times 33 divided by 365 times 33 plus G, whatever G is, I forgot. Wherein interest reward R is the product of coin age G, interest rate I, and an approximation of the number of days in a year. Interest rate is then calculated in the form I equals 17 times log times n divided by 20 times 100. Where an interest rate I is logarithmically proportional to network stake weight n. If each Vericoin holder were to actively stake, an inflation rate of approximately 2.6 would be realized. Since not all holders actively stake their coin, Vericoin achieved a true inflation rate of 1.2% in its first year. The expected incentive of network stake-dependent interest has been insufficient to both enable an exceptionally stable network while achieving the goal inflation rate of 2%. The original model can, however, still be realized by targeting for a network state-dependent inflation rate inherently in the protocol. Inflation-targeted interest rate. Addressing the need for both enhanced incentive as well as consistent inflation, Vericoin development has implemented an inflation target variable interest rate. By specifically targeting a network stake-dependent inflation rate rather than an interest rate, the network maintains an inflation rate that falls within the original goal of 1.8 to 2.6%. This inflation rate rises as market supply diminishes. In addition, by allowing those who actively stake to receive the entire inflation amount via interest, the protocol greatly increases incentive for staking without excessive inflation. New interest determination function as follows. Interest rate. And I'm not going to bother to read the formulas. You guys, if you're that interested in it, please feel free to read this bad boy. But I will read the descriptors for them. Equation 6, where an interest reward R is the product of stake time S, interest rate I, and an approximation of the number of days in a year, the interest rate is then calculated in the form of equation 7, wherein the interest rate I is the product of inflation rate T and the total proof of work initial Vericoin supply divided by average network weight N. Inflation rate T takes the same form as the interest rate in the previous reward system as follows. Equation 8, inflation rate T. This allows for rapidly increasing stake interest rates while network strength is low, creating a powerful incentive to stabilize the network when staking is needed most. In addition, an individual who actively stakes receives significantly larger interest payments over the lifespan of a node compared to the current model. Lastly, since the interest rate is targeted to an inflation rate which is calculated against 26,751,452, the total number of VRC produced during the initial proof of work phase, POST inflation rate is non-compounded and decreasing relative to total supply over time. This inflation-targeted interest mechanism ensures an inflation rate which gradually diminishes over time, even further increasing incentive to stake while encouraging distribution of consensus. Don't worry, we're coming to the end of this. Conclusion. Finally, We conclude that the nonlinear time-accepted proof system further distributes consensus by accepting time that enhances distribution and rejecting time that diminishes it. The stake time window is an exponentially more difficult attack target where significant threats are detected and addressed proactively by the network, and finding suitable proofs becomes progressively more difficult. Simultaneously, distributed threats are also discouraged by POST and heavily penalized in cost. The system also significantly incentivizes participation in staking with greater overall rewards to those actively participating in the consensus, particularly at times when needed most. The inversely proportional relationship between accepted time and interest rate prevents dishonest nodes from bypassing the dynamics of the system and taking what isn't due in proof. With this work, we aim to bring proof of stake to a new level of security with strong incentive and fair distribution. This delivers more favorable rewards for more favorable actions, securing the network in a very direct and tangible way. It is our goal to create an environment where consensus collusion and manipulation are as far from practice as possible, where a near-costless distribution network can thrive for years to come via voluntary participation in a provable consensus. And should I read all that stuff? No. Oh wait, yeah, I'm gonna, because one of my keenest followers is mentioned in this. Acknowledgements. A sincere thank you to the altcoin community in general and to all of those who have supported Vericoin and continue to do so unconditionally. Special thanks to JJ Abelis, Bruno Proenka, Scott Allen, Ernest Chubb III, Jan Weichzerek, and many others for their relentless efforts to help deliver a unique brand, an active community, and a cohesive message that truly captures the essence and pursuit of Vericoin. Very interesting, and if you'd like to check out more on them, you can find their website, www.vericoin.info, and of course they're all over Twitter and Google Plus and Facebook and all that other business. So yeah, that was terribly interesting. It doesn't sound like the immediate pump and dump, but you know, we can say a lot of things in a white paper, but whether or not we actually do those things is another story. But Vericoin, you know, I mean, they've been around for a long time. I know I've traded them and I've made money on them, and I don't know that I've lost any money on that, but you know, yeah. In any case, I am going to go ahead and break for a little bit of music, because you know it's about that time. You know, we chewed up enough air on a decent article or a decent chunk of information concerning an interesting and long-lived altcoin. You know, you really do have to tip a hat to any cryptocurrency that's been around for 2 or 3 years, such as us. You know, we've been around all this time. In the background is an anonymous currency, and it looks like people are finally paying attention to us, because we ate through from, I think our low today was like 5, and we're eating the shit out of 8 right now, I guess. I just checked. I haven't checked my my Bittrex account, but according to VergeDev, 9 sats is almost gone. Good stuff, people. I'm glad you guys are finally taking a significant interest in us. You know, because we've been bouncing around there between 1 and 3 sats for quite a while. I mean, check that chart. But you know what? The dev has been active this entire time. He's been running around in the background, making sure everything's operating, and he's certainly been a major driving force by you know, in the continued existence of this cryptocurrency, and I certainly hope it continues in the future. I also hope that we never reach a time when it is the only choice, because everything else is being tracked, everything else has gone SegWit, and that's fucked, and the banks have taken over everything. And I don't know. That's my perspective about like that whole Lightning Network business. I came to a really interesting discussion with somebody. I think it was either today or yesterday, and I had mentioned that I'd mentioned something about banks messing with doing Lightning networks, and they're like, oh, like the banks investing in participating in Lightning networks would be like Superman opening up a kryptonite store. And I'm like, are you kidding me? If you can't see that the transaction volume of 40,000 transactions per second isn't meant for banks and credit card companies, perhaps you are too technical. Because the accusation earlier in the discussion or thread was that I'm not technical enough to understand segregated witness, and I don't understand it, and that what I'm saying is bullshit. And it's funny because I countered with stuff directly from the segregated witness white paper, and this person still persisted to argue with me. I'm like, dude, it takes the fucking TXID and it takes it out of the old block structure. It puts it in a new block structure, but that new block structure, part of it has to be processed by a separate fucking network of nodes, i.e. Lightning Network, in order to be, worth a shit. And that adds the possibility of doing 40,000 transactions per second. But do you have any fucking need to be processing 40,000 transactions per second? No. You don't know anybody that needs that kind of transaction load. I mean, I don't care if you know millions of people, you still don't know enough people to need to be able to process 40,000 transactions per second. But you know who does? Banks, credit card companies, investment brokerages, investment exchanges. These people need 40,000 transactions per second, especially if you're trading on the picosecond, with these ultra high fast, frequency trading and algorithms and whatnot. Those people need 40,000 transactions per second. You do not need 40,000 transactions per second. Nobody on the Bitcoin network right now needs 40,000 transactions per second. As a matter of fact, without becoming the Swift 2.0 for banks and credit card companies, there will never be a need for the Bitcoin network to support 40,000 transactions per second. The distribution of other coins, the ability to create new coins on the fly or other tokenized assets or whatever on the fly eliminates the possibility that you will ever need a transaction volume of 40,000 transactions per second. And you know what? It's really funny too, because people seem to forget that there is a reason. There's a real reason why we have a limited number of transactions per second in Bitcoin. And you know what it is? It disincentivizes participation by banks. They can't make enough fucking money because there's not enough transactions in a single block for them to continue ass raping the public for those transaction fees. That's why you can only do 7 transactions per second or whatever it is, that they managed to bump it up to. That's the reason. That was a decision that somebody made. That was a decision that people agreed to. Now, maybe not all of them knew why they were agreeing to it, but they did agree to it. But banks really need to go back to their traditional function. Okay, and that is a lender of last resort and a reliable, trustable store of your monetary value and an exchange between currencies. That's what they're supposed to operate as. And that's what they're going to go back to one way or another, because there's no way in hell that we're going to survive this, what I see coming as far as like monetary shit going on. There's no way we're going to survive that with fiat currencies as they currently exist. because the trust model of wave a magic wand and create some more zeros on the end of the balance sheet is broken. It was broken this whole time. It's only now becoming noticeable because we have publicly traded, publicly created cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin with which to weigh them against. You know, it's really easy to play the trust game when you are virtually the only game in town, or the only game that a group of participants can actually participate in. Okay? That's like, it creates a captive audience, and a monopoly on a captive audience is not a true reflection of the market. You can never have a true reflection of the market in that kind of top-down hierarchical fucking decision making about interest rates and monetary supply and all that other bullshit. You just can't have it. It doesn't work. Because not everybody's going to agree with you. And that's why we have Bitcoin with the consensus process. Because not everybody is going to agree with you. But as long as the vast majority of people agree, we can define what the state of the monetary funds is right now, and who owns what. And that is completely antithetical to the current banking model, because if you know who owns what, you know that the bank doesn't own it, and that they have no right to give it away or sell it or whatever, or count it as an article on their assets on their balance sheet. It's just not theirs. So therefore, it's, like I said, it's completely antithetical to them. You know, now if you transact it, you know, either buy or sell it in their script, that gives them control. Because now you are weighing the confidence of the value of what it is in their metrics. You're putting that monetary value in their kingdom. And that is why we are currently in the state that we are. Because they've been entrusted with entirely too much power and entirely too much monetary value. And nobody's capable of having that much money and not be corrupted by the simple possession of it. I mean, it's just... Anyway. Let's get back and nibble on one more article here, because this one is kind of interesting. And I've been waiting for a smaller nation such as Australia or New Zealand or whatever to make these kind of movements. And Australia has been keeping a keen eye on cryptocurrencies, and so I've been expecting them to be a little more publicly forceful or something. In any case, here it is, and this one's off of Cointelegraph. It's by Mr. William Suberg. Bitcoin to become just like money in Australia on July 1st. Australia has officially confirmed it will treat Bitcoin, quote-unquote, just like money from this year, and it will no longer be subject to double taxation. In its budget summary for 2017-2018, the government states that as part of its plan to make it easier for digital currency businesses to operate in the country, it will ensure that nowhere in the supply chain is general sales tax paid more than once. The government will make it easier for new innovative digital currency businesses to operate in Australia, the summary reads. From 1st July 2017, the purchases of digital currency will no longer be subject to the GST, allowing digital currencies to be treated just like money for GST purposes. Currently, consumers who use digital currencies can effectively bear GST twice, once on the purchase of digital currency and once again on its use for other goods and services subject to the GST. Australia has had a troubled relationship with cryptocurrency regulation until recently. The decision to allow double taxation originally caused several well-known operators to quit the country back in 2014, while innovation has subsequently lagged behind markets in which businesses have enjoyed their greater freedom. Innovative fintech deals involving blockchain have surfaced this year. However, and the tone of the budget extract points to a design. What the fuck? I'm going to reread this paragraph again because it seems kind of confusing. Innovative fintech deals involving blockchain have surfaced this year. However, and the tone. Two fucking commas. Dude, fuck you. If you take out the one between year and however, it reads like this. Innovative fintech deals involving blockchain have surfaced this year. However, and the tone of the budget extract points to a desire to change Australia's environment. Wow, that's just weird. Innovation will drive productivity growth in Australia, it continues. The government is committed to establishing Australia as a leading financial technology hub and is announcing a new package that aims to position our local fintech industry as a world leader. Meanwhile, local business optimism is also increasing. Yeah, I'm not going to read that article. So anyway, Australia, just like money. That's going to be real interesting. And they actually have linked in here the budget summary for 2018-2017 for Australia. So, let's see here. Weird. I'm just looking at how many pages this thing is. Download the PDF. What the fuck? Oh, it's only 5 pages. Shit, we can fit that in. We can. But we are going to have one teeny tiny music break because honestly I feel like a tune-up before this thing. It's only 5 pages, but I partially gloss over every time I read some sort of legislation, so, you know, it has the same effect as everybody else just hearing the word legislation. You know, your eyes kind of glaze over and you go to some, like, the happy place for a little bit. Any case, let's go ahead and throw it down. A little bit of Tool. It's already playing in the background, but I'm going to restart this one for us. Vicarious here on Coin Metal. And that was Tool of Vicarious. And yeah, I got my tune on, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm about ready to round it out with the fucking last dance for the evening. Hell, this thing just went by real quick. And along with Happy Dance, things that happen, I just rediscovered a nice little bit of finger hash. Actually, it's scissor hash, which is even better. So we'll be endeavoring in that shortly. Oh, Happy Dance! So yeah, I want to give another shout out to Verge Dev. Thank you for Testament. That was beautiful. It was awesome. It wasn't prong, but it was still Testament. There's nothing wrong with that. And so yeah, you guys be watching your accounts, man, especially your Bittrex account, and especially if you've got any Verge in it, because it's been hopping and jumping, and you might want to get in on that. In any case, I will probably be here Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so until then, I'd really like it if you guys would do your homework. Because I try to help, but I can't do it all for you. You gotta do a little bit of homework there and trade safe based on that homework information. Vericoin, good, bad, and different. Really couldn't tell you. Too soon to tell. I would expect some sort of spike because that was a reasonable sounding white paper. Whether or not they actually fulfill on it, that's for the future to decide. So, trade safe and watch out for your bunghole, because sitting down is not enough. Somebody will knock you out of your chair if they want at you bad enough. So keep that in mind. Any case, thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it as always. My Twitter fans, my Facebook fans, my people in the IRC. We had some good rains tonight. And I want to close it out with a little bit of Slayer. And this one is an oldie but goodie off of Diablos and Musica, In the Name of God, for our last dance. Thanks again for listening, and you all have an excellent evening.